Often when people think of discounts, they're thinking of seasonal, Black Friday, versus when you do offers that are about retention workflows and really based on the behavior of the customer, you're giving something that's more personalized and going to do much better.
A lot of merchants do this. So there is a certain discount where you start with, and then you get, for instance, a bundled card, and you get another one and another one. What's the best case strategy that merchants should follow from your experience? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ecommerce Coffee Break podcast. If you run an online store, you know the reality. Getting traffic is hard, keeping profit is even harder. And right at the center of that challenge is something every brand uses every day: discounts. They seem simple: set a deal, drive sales, but in reality, they shape buying behavior, timing, and how much profit you actually keep. So here's the question: what would millions of Shopify discount codes actually tell you about how discounts really work? Joining me today is Cara from Segundo.com, and she has insights from 182 million codes, and she brings a rare view into what drives performance and what destroys profits. Cara, great to have you on the show again.
Thanks so much for having me back.
Cara, most Shopify brands think a discount is just a discount, but your data from 182 million codes says that's not true at all. When you look at a data set that massive, what's the biggest misconception merchants have about discounts code?
So the biggest thing that surprised me and that we see across our customers people aren't taking as much advantage of as they should is that percentage off drives much higher, or is associated with much higher AOV than amount off codes. So as we were looking at these 182 million codes, we wanted to do a head-to-head percent off versus amount off. And what we found is that usually when you talk to brands, they kind of think of them as roughly interchangeable. And we see in our data set that they're used roughly similar amounts. But when you look at the AOV, percentage off has 42% higher AOV than amount off. And so based on that, we should be using percentage off more often than amount off by a lot, but we aren't.
Mm-hmm. I want to take one step back and really find out where you implement this. Obviously, you can put this in different parts of the customer journey. What's the typical sort of flow when you start handing out discounts?
This is also a misperception. Often when people think of discounts, they're thinking of seasonal, Black Friday, like these blanket holiday discounts. And those are an important part for any brand's revenue strategy. But the thing is that at that time of year, you're competing with so many other brands for eyeballs, right? Versus when you do offers that are about retention workflows and really based on the behavior of the customer, you're giving something that's more personalized, more relevant, and going to do much better. So this would be like welcome flows, win back flows, abandonment flows. And so those are the moments when, as you look at setting those up or hopefully updating existing ones, you'll want to think about offering those percentage off discounts.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have heard in the past that it's easier for a customer to just see a dollar amount because they don't have to do the math. Now, your results are actually proving it differently. Why do you think that is?
I would agree with that amount off is often easier to, like, there's no math needed. And we do actually see, even though AOV is 42% higher, we do see that redemption rate is higher for amount off than percentage off. So the percentage off I have the 42% higher AOV, and then amount off has 26% higher redemption. And so it is a matter of what you're optimizing for. I definitely lean towards AOV because that's a bigger, more meaningful number, but it's true. I think the hypothesis of amount off is just easier to understand right away. You understand what you're getting. That probably is associated with the higher redemptions.
Mm-hmm. For our listeners, I want to understand, how do you collect 182 million discount codes, and actually how do you dissect them? This is a huge amount of data. How did you do it?
So we're lucky to have our app Bulk Discount Code Bot that's used by tens of thousands of brands. And so we just grabbed our data just for 2025. And we didn't have a specific angle. We weren't thinking percentage off versus amount off. We just have a data scientist on our team, and he started looking at things in different ways. And on the product side, we had questions that we gave to him to kind of explore. And then this percentage off versus amount off comparison really came forward.
Mm-hmm. Always good to have a data scientist there. I wouldn't be able to do this.
Yeah.
Now, a percentage off, that can be a lot because you always see like 10%, sometimes more, sometimes less. Do you have any indication or any results from the study what the best percentage off amount actually is, or the best percentage off is?
Yes. And so this was consistent with what we found last year, but we have more data than last year. So we were glad to see that strengthen. So the best percentage off depth to do is 20% when it comes to AOV and redemption rate. And so we bucketed by 5%. So looking at 15%, you see that the AOV is lower than 20% and the redemption rate is lower than 20%. Interestingly, looking at 25%, you see that the AOV and redemption rate are pretty much the same as 20%. So it's not worth going that high because you're just giving away those 5 points of margin. So that's where we landed on 20% is that best depth to go for. And of course, it varies by brand. That's a great starting point. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you couple this discount code with some kind of minimum spend or on every order? How does that work?
So you don't need to. For amount off, we found that using a minimum spend was really important. And it actually boosted AOV for the amount off codes 2.6x. So it had a really significant impact on AOV. For percentage off, putting those minimums didn't have the same type of impact. But kind of like you started hinting at, you need to make sure that you put in maximums, because that's where if you do get to that really large order value, you could be giving away a lot more than you intended.
Mm-hmm. I think that's interesting for our listeners is really how to sort of slice and dice your discounts. Obviously, you might have more than one discount in your business, depending on what the customer does. Now, let's talk about personal discount codes compared to like general discount codes. How do you deal with this?
What we focus on is personalized discount codes. So how they work in our app is they're unique discount codes that are personalized to everyone who receives it. And then that's different from a blanket discount code, which can be great for some types of discounts. Like if you want to put that Black Friday code just on your website, then you want that static code. The main thing that I really love about using unique or personalized discount codes instead is it really gives you the opportunity to experiment and see for this customer at this moment in their life cycle with you, this is the discount that they need. And so you don't need to give away more just in order to hopefully get some money through the door. So I think that's a really big thing. And it is a lot of fun also thinking through what's the customer mindset at this moment. Does a 10% off discount do the trick because they're really close? Or are they almost lost and we should do at least 20, maybe even up to 30? And you can personalize without having those codes all over coupon sharing sites and really impacting your brand perception.
Mm-hmm. We spoke about this last time, and for our listeners who have listened to the last episode with you, I just want to refresh this. Obviously, there is websites out there where discount codes are shared and your discount codes can leak. Tell me a little bit more about this. How does that work and how can you prevent this?
Yep. So sites like Honey or Capital One Shopping, basically you'll have a shopper who's ready to buy, and then they have this browser extension and it just pops, it scans through all the leak codes and says, oh, you're ready to buy full price, but guess what? I just found 15% off. And so then it applies it. And so obviously you're losing that 15% off that customer was ready to pay. And then, but in addition to that, you're also getting your attribution all murky. So it's harder to make decisions about what discounts to offer in the future. And it really can set you up not too well. And so when you use unique discounts, they can only be used by one person. So they really can't be leaked. And each person has their own code. So you don't need to worry about that anymore. And instead, you can feel confident that the customer using the discount is the intended customer for using that discount. And you can see the attribution and the results for that particular offer.
Yeah, these discount sites can be really a pain in the neck for merchants. I have experienced it with my own shop back in the time. So it's really good if you can avoid that. I want to talk a little bit about discount ladders. A lot of merchants do this. So there is a certain discount where you start with, and then you get, for instance, a bundled cart. Then you get another one, another one. What's the best case strategy that merchants should follow from your experience?
I think all of them. And there's often a hesitation when you talk to brands that, especially if you're talking about blanket discounting, that you say, oh, well, they're going to get this abandoned cart one, and then they're going to get something from you over SMS and something over direct mail and something in email and win back at 90 days and win back. Right. So they're getting all these discounts, and isn't that going to cheapen my brand and train them to wait until the next discount? And people are worried about that. But the thing that we see with our merchants is when they use these personalized discount codes instead, they aren't at such a predictable cadence. They feel very personalized and relevant to you. You don't know exactly when they're coming, and they don't have that harm. So all they're really doing is, you're thinking from the consumer standpoint, like what is it going to take for them to make that next purchase? What new product do we have that we want to promote to them specifically because of their past purchases? And with that intentional strategic offering of discounts, the perception of being cheapened really doesn't seem to be an issue. Mm-hmm. So it's just more money that you make when you're driving more conversions through those targeted discounts.
No, it makes perfect sense. And giving the right discount in the right moment in the customer journey definitely increase also the customer experience. Now let's talk about Segundo itself, the tool. How does it work? How's the implementation working? What's the day-to-day life with Segundo?
So bulk discount code bought by Segundo, how it works is you go in there, you say, okay, I'm going to do this retention lifecycle campaign. I have win back, I have abandonment, I have welcome. You generate any number of codes. So maybe let's say 100,000 codes. It'll just take a couple minutes, and then you'll have your codes ready. And then since last time, we've added integrations now with Klaviyo and Gorgeous. So those will automatically be available in those platforms. But for any other platform, you just download a CSV and upload them, and then distribute accordingly. And then from there, you can go into reporting, both our native reporting that tells you AOV and revenue and redemptions, and also Shopify's native reporting, and build any report that you want to really see how things are doing, and then tweak them and keep changing until you find that right balance where your discounts are efficiently converting customers at that right moment.
I love that you say that you're now integrating with Klaviyo and Gorgeous and obviously with Shopify. I think that's just very common pillars that a lot of merchants use out there. Now this plays hand in hand, and you get the right message out no matter what system you have running in the background. Can you share some success stories or case studies of businesses that have actively used your system and what kind of results they saw?
One customer who I've spent quite some time with, her name is Becky Chambers over at Cadiz Eyewear, and we actually just wrote up a case study with her. And she does like exactly what I'm saying. So something I really love is, like, we have our hypotheses at Segundo, but then we really get to learn from these advanced strategic operators. And it's really interesting to see what they're doing and try to share their stories. And so Becky's whole thing at Cadiz is she's really, really strategic with the discounts she offers. So instead of doing these last minute blanket sales to just kind of try to get revenue numbers up for the month or quarter, she and her team are thinking about what's that right product to offer a discount on for this customer. What discount depth is the right depth, looking at their historical data and at our benchmark data. And so they're planning out their discounts in advance and then really measuring the efficiency of the discounts. So by efficiency, it's looking at net sales and looking at how much you gave away as the discount. And for her, she looks at 3x. I've seen brands, I think it really varies based on the brand, what efficiency metric they want, but I think that's a great starting point. So really, really love her use case there, and the intention she brings to her discounting strategy.
I think that's very important what you mentioned there, because as you said, a lot of merchants out there, they just get in panic mode or just say in general, we do a Black Friday discount because we do it every year. And I probably do not look into the numbers afterwards to see what really happened. And you mentioned in the beginning, you can increase your AOV with this. So you're not losing money by giving out discounts. No, you make more money. But therefore you have to do really control what's happening there and do a strategy with this. And I think that's very important to our listeners to understand. A discount is not losing money. It's making money. Walk me through the typical onboarding process of a new client. What steps are involved? How long does it take to get up and running?
Should be really quick. So you go in, hopefully we'll give you some ideas here of what discounts you should be offering, right? Those welcome, the win back, retention campaigns, the abandonment. So you go in, you generate your codes. We recommend to tag them by the channel and the campaign so that you can, and department if you have that, so that you can see spend accordingly. And then you either use those direct integrations to Klaviyo and Gorgeous, or you export and upload and start live right away. And we have a 10-day free trial, and most customers I talk to are already live within that trial period. So that's a nice way to get to experience it.
Okay, now that's very, very straightforward, and you get up and running very quickly. Is there any kind of homework that a merchant needs to do before they can get started?
No, I think that's a misperception with discounting and strategic discounting is, and that's something that we have as a goal with exposing this data is there are teams that are putting lots and lots of hours into the strategy. And I think that's great. And there are serious rewards to that, but a lot of those best practices really apply across brands. And so, for someone who doesn't have the time because they're doing everything, right? There are some best practices that you can just apply. So thinking about percentage off for AOV, amount off for redemptions. Another stat I had that I found was interesting around seasonal versus those, what I think of as relationship-based discounts is these relationship-based ones, the win back, the insider codes, like for teachers, students, vets, employees, those have a 5 times higher redemption rate than the blanket codes. And that's because I believe that's because you're not competing for eyeballs like you are at those seasonal discounts. And in addition to having a higher redemption rate, they also have a significantly higher AOV. I can pull up in my notes. Our average AOV for those relationship-based was $144 versus $93. So you're getting better redemptions, better AOV just by not exclusively doing those seasonal ones and really thinking about where the relationship you have with your customer and where they are at that journey.
Yeah, so important to really find out who's your customer and what's the likelihood that they will convert. How does your pricing structure work? How do you charge?
So it's free for the first 10 days. And then based on brand size, you'll be on different plans. So if you're not a Shopify Plus store, then you have the option to start at just $19 a month for unlimited code generations. If you're a Plus store, then you have to start at our higher tier plan, which we find that a number of non-Plus also opt to go into. It includes reporting, it includes those integrations, and that's at $99 a month right now.
Okay, definitely a no-brainer to try it out and to get a feeling how good discounts will work in your business if you do it right. Before our coffee break comes to an end, is there anything you want to share with our listeners that we haven't covered yet?
Well, one thing is we're happy to offer a discount code for the first month. So we have the discount code COFFEE, which hopefully we could put in the link, and that will give you 20% off your first month. Code COFFEE. And aside from that, I think the takeaway is run those strategic discounts. If you're really busy and you have a lot going on, you can still run them. Just do these standard ones that are proven across the industry, and setting them up, you really see that revenue just comes through the door. So that's always what I'm advocating for is you have this like low hanging fruit of revenue that you could be making, set it up. And I look forward to hearing from you about the results, because I'm always excited to hear brands that are so positive about making more revenue without much extra effort.
Yeah, and I think your data from 182 million discount codes is proof enough that it works. And I will put the links and the code in the show notes, so then you will be just one click away. Where can people go and find you?
You can find our app, Bulk Discount Code Bot, on the Shopify store. You can find me either on X, Cara_Jacqueline. I can give you that also to put in the links. Or my email is cara@segundo.com. I'm always happy to chat with merchants if you have any questions.
Okay, all of these links will be in the show notes, so just scroll down and click and get in touch with Cara. Thanks so much for your time today. I think it's a really good overview of what you can discount codes. I'm definitely convinced that's the right way to go, and I hope a lot of people will try it out. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Russ.